Hey, hey. Second time in a week that I've done a pop-up live and no one's here. There's about 5 million people live at the moment. Slight exaggeration, but there are quite a few people live at the moment to talk about the news, the breaking news, the unsurprising news, if you want my opinion. Given that there's no one here, I'm going to give my opinion anyway. And that is, I'm not surprised that Gabby Petito's parents have decided to sue Brian Laundrie's parents. So we're going to talk about that. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about Michael Vaughn as well, if people ever bother to come in. I can just wait a minute or two to see if anybody comes in. I know there are lots and lots of lives going on at the moment, so I'm just going to check YouTube to see whether I am actually live. That might help matters, to see if I'm actually live. Okay. I'm confused. Maybe I wasn't live. I've been talking for like the last couple of minutes and I'm not sure my settings were right. I'm not sure anybody could see it. So let's just give it a minute just to see if people come in. Because on StreamYard, it looks like I'm live, but then on YouTube, it didn't look like I was live, which is odd. So when people watch the playback of this, they'll go, what the hell was Michelle playing at? Oh, we got 29 people in now. So I think I've sorted out the issue. For those of you who were in my members only stream over on, oh yeah, I'm definitely live now. That's good. Yeah, for those of you who are members on my other channel, Michelle After Dark, I had the same problem with that people could see me but couldn't talk to me. And anyway, I've got 39 people in. Does anybody want to say hello? And then I can tell whether the stream is working. All right, I'm gonna do this. Oh, there we go. I can see you all now. I had exactly the same problem a couple of weeks back, that StreamYard confuses the hell out of me. Hello, everyone. So now I'm watching the comments on YouTube, but I'm actually talking to StreamYard. Yeah, you did lose me for a sec, Darla, because I reloaded StreamYard to see whether that would sort out my issue. So what the problem was, for those of you who've been here since the beginning, the problem was I was live on StreamYard, but YouTube wasn't picking up that I was live. So once I clicked the button to go live on YouTube, it meant that StreamYard didn't catch up. So even reloading StreamYard doesn't solve the problem of being able to see the chat. So I can see the chat now because I'm watching the chat on YouTube. So it's really confusing. So I'm not going to be able to highlight anybody's comments because StreamYard isn't playing ball. But hello to everybody. As I was saying before, I was actually live, just pretend live. This is just an impromptu stream to talk about the fact that Gabby Petito's parents are suing Brian Laundrie's parents. And I know that there's loads of people live at the moment. So, you know, I guess everybody who's interested or still interested in this case is elsewhere. But that's fine. That's okay. Hello to everyone who is here. So some of you may have seen this already, may have seen the court documents, but I'm going to show you the court documents that Joseph and Nicole, Joseph Petito and Nicole Smith are serving. They are serving the Laundries with these. So I'm going to go through it. And then Michael, thank you for still being a mod on this channel, because this channel used to be something completely different. This channel used to be a vegan channel. And yes, I'm still vegan. For all of my vegan friends, yes, I'm still vegan. I just moved away from that community. And this channel has become a I don't know, a second true crime channel, I guess. That we do the weekly crime stories Sunday over here. I do additional information regarding the cases that I'm following, all of that good stuff. So, oh, thank you, Teresa. Teresa Rodriguez. You're my number one to go to. That's really kind of you. Like I said, I can't highlight anybody's comments because it's not showing up on StreamYard. Ugh. Technology is awful. But it's quite late here. It's nearly 10 o'clock here in the UK. So I'm not going to stay on too long. I've promised myself. I decided to go live rather than making a video about this. So as we've got a few people in now, let's... Oh, he turned off the WFLA coverage to watch me. Well, that's really kind of you. I was watching the WFLA coverage, and then JB left to go and do TV, and then I turned it off and decided to go live. So I'm going to go through this court document and just pick out the important points, the things that I think are new and really important. Thank you so much, Puppy Love, for the $6.99 Canadian dollars. Something little because I deserve it. Thanks for all the amazing time. Thank you so much. I can't highlight your comment though, so just I'll read out any super chats or super stickers that I'll get. I'll read them out because that's all I can do for today. That is all I can do for today. All right, let's get to these court documents. And hopefully we can play ball now. Need to make that screen a bit bigger, maybe. There we go. So it's not easy for me to see the chat now because I'm attending to the matter at hand. So I'm guessing that if you clicked on this video, this live, then you know a little bit about the Gabby Petito Brian Laundrie case. So let's go through it. I mean, a lot of these points are just going over what we already know, but still, I think I think we should do it justice. And as it gets through the document, then we get this new information. So Joseph Petito and Nicole Smith, by and through their under-assigned counsel and file within blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this is an action for damages that exceed $30,000 exclusive of prejudgment interest, costs, and attorney fees. So it will be considerably more than that. And this is at Sarasota County, Florida, because the defendants, Chris and Roberta Laundrie, reside there. Okay. So let's go to where it gets interesting. 2nd of July, 2021. This gives us quite a good timeline. Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito left New York in a van owned by Gabby. There was some confusion about this in the early days of this case. This was Gabby's van, right? Brian had no rights to this van. This was Gabby's van. To take a trip to the Western United States that was going to last for several months. And prior to the trip, the Laundries, the Petitos, and the Smiths had a cordial relationship. Gabby had hopes of becoming a travel influencer, a van lifer, documenting her cross-country travels on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. So Brian didn't think that she could do this. Brian, if you remember the 12th of August traffic stop in Moab, Utah, she told the officers that Brian didn't think she could become a travel influencer. She was trying to set up a website. He didn't like it. Blah, 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 blah. Typical controlling boyfriend. During the course of the trip, Gabby called her family almost daily, including Joseph and Nicole and her siblings. Last communication that Gabby had with Joseph Petito was on August the 21st. The last communication with her mum, Nicole, was on August the 27th, and we think this is the day she died. So this is the bit that gets interesting, and if you followed this case closely, this will all start ringing bells to you. It will be, it'll become fresh in your mind. It's a good timeline, this. So it's believed that on August the 27th, Brian Laundrie murdered Gabby Petito. The cause of her death, as we know from the autopsy that was released a while ago, blunt force injuries to the head and neck with manual strangulation. 22 at the time of her death. After Brian Laundrie murdered Gabby, Brian sent text messages back and forth between his cell phone and Gabby's phone in an effort to hide the fact that he killed her. It starts getting interesting now. August the 27th, so the day believed to be the murder day, Brian Laundrie sent a text to Nicole Smith in which he referred to Gabby Petito's grandfather, Stan, by name, and Gabby never called her grandfather by his name. Now, there was talk, I remember arguing with people in the comments of my videos, that Stan meant something else relating to domestic violence, I think, if I remember rightly. And I've always maintained that it was Brian slipping up. Right, not a very good criminal at all, slipping up, because he would have called Gabby's granddad Stan, but Gabby wouldn't have. So even though he was pretending to be Gabby, he slipped. He slipped, and Nicole knew this. She was suspicious from that day. She was suspicious. Call it mother's intuition, just call it common sense. She just thought it was strange that he'd do this. So yeah. Okay. So it's believed that on or about August the 28th, Brian Laundrie advised his parents, this gets really interesting now, advised his parents, Chris and Roberta, that he had murdered Gabby Petito. On that same date, Chris and Roberta spoke with attorney Stephen Bertolino and then further sent him a retainer on September the 2nd. So Stephen Bertolino was retained as their attorney for a case that nobody knew existed yet. Because, as it says shortly, Brian got home, like travelled the van across the country back to Florida and got home on September the 1st. September the 2nd, Stephen Bertolino, the attorney, is retained. So they weren't just taking advice from him and getting him to send like sarcastic text messages on Twitter. He was retained as their attorney for a case that nobody knew existed. But there's no evidence. What this document is just the papers that are going to be served, or probably already have been served, to the Laundries. There's no evidence that they did know. But what this does is it puts the ball in the Laundries court to prove that they didn't know. Now, bear in mind, this is a civil case, right? This is not a criminal matter yet. This is a civil case, but it'll be interesting to see how the Laundries now play this. Because they've got, according to JB from WFLA, I'm not an expert in law in any country, let alone America, let alone Florida, but allegedly they've got 20 days to respond to this. If they don't respond, if they choose to just ignore it, brush it under the carpet, go and mow the lawn or go and do some planting, in the backyard, then this court case will go ahead. This is not going away. This is not going away. I do, Lee. I do. I feel for his parents. I answered this question multiple times at the time, and I can honestly say, with my hand on my heart, I would have spoken to the police. I would have dobbed in my own son if I believed, especially if he told me that he'd committed a murder, I would go straight to the police. And if they had, Brian would still be alive. He'd be in jail, but he'd still be alive. But then it would be down to the justice system to prove that Brian had actually committed the murder. So, that's what should have happened. Hi, Scott H. That's what should have happened. I don't know about you. That's what I would have done. And I can promise you that's what I would have done. If it was quite a bit different and Brian had told me a completely BS story about Gabby and him splitting up and Gabby staying there in Wyoming, and she basically just decided to go her own way. If that had been the story, then I would have supported him up to the point of the police turning up. The problem I had throughout this entire case was just their complete silence. But we'll get on to that shortly. Filthy laundries, the dirty laundries. Yeah, London lady. They were. So on August the 30th, Brian Laundrie sent a text message from Gabby Petito's cell phone to Nicole Smith stating there was no service in Yosemite Park in an effort to deceive Nicole into believing Gabby was still alive. And Nicole did not believe him. Now, September the 1st, Brian Laundrie returns home to Northport, Florida, driving Gabby's van. So his parents would have said, surely, where's Gabby? Knowing full well that this is Gabby's van. So if they'd split up, why was Brian driving Gabby's van? Why? So whatever story he gave them, even if at that point he hadn't told them that he'd committed a murder, wouldn't they have been really suspicious? Wouldn't they have been? As a parent myself, I would have been very suspicious. I would have been supportive at that point and said, okay, you split up. Well, where is she? You've got to also bear in mind, Gabby lived at the Laundries. She actually lived there before they decided to go on their travels. She lived there. So surely they were considering Gabby fondly, considering her a future daughter-in-law. Didn't they have an ounce of decency to think, well, Gabby, even if they've split up, isn't there an ounce of decency in their body? Isn't there a moral obligation to help, assist, finding out where Gabby was? I would have thought that was the least they could do. But no, they didn't do that. They didn't do that. You know, they must have had, if they'd not been told directly, they must have had massive suspicion. That was Gabby's van. And we know that Brian had flown back to Florida supposedly to clear out a storage locker to save money. He'd actually flown from Utah after the travel stop where they got stopped by the cops and Gabby nearly got arrested. A few days after that, Brian flew home to Florida and then flew back to murder Gabby. Now, I'm sure he didn't have murder on his mind when he was flying back, but this was a very troubled young man. And if his parents didn't know him at all, then they could be excused. But they lived with him before they went on their travels. Brian and Gabby lived with them. Exactly, Betty. Moral obligation would be to not block her mother and call to see if Gabby was okay. Exactly. So even though I understand that there's a desire to protect your kid, I don't really have any sympathy with them, really, to be honest. Okay. So at this point, the 1st of September, there's no contact between Joseph Petito and Nicole Smith with the Laundries. From August the 27th until September the 19th, and this was the date that Gabby's body was found in Grand Teton National Park. When Gabby Petito's remains were found, Spread Creek dispersed camping ground. The plaintiffs were extremely distraught. The plaintiffs were the Petito-Smith families, were distraught and attempting to locate Gabby. While Gabby Petito's family was suffering, the Laundrie family, including Brian, we have the photos to prove it, the Laundrie family went on vacation to Fort DeSoto Park from the 6th to the 7th of September. And Brian was seen, playing with his nephews, a nice old time. His sister Cassandra went there for the day, took the nephews who thought of Gabby as a big sister. Yeah, says it all, doesn't it? Says it all. I do, Adrian. I do. 2 live chats in 1 week. You spoil us. Yeah, this is my second impromptu live in a week. I just wanted to get this out. I know a lot of people are live doing the same thing, but I just wanted to get this out, record it really for this channel. Rather than just making a video, I just decided to hit the live button. Anyway, while Gabby Petito's family was suffering, that's where they were, 6th to 7th of September, Fort DeSoto Park. In an effort to avoid any contact with Nicole Smith, on or about September the 10th, Roberta Laundrie blocked Nicole on her cell phone such that neither phone calls or texts could be delivered, and she blocked her on Facebook. That says it all. That says it all. right? If that's not guilty knowledge, I don't know what is. If that's not guilty knowledge, I don't know what is. Do I think Cassie knew about it? The sister, not Cassie, my spaniel who's upstairs fast asleep. I don't know. I do not know. You know, when the boots on the ground people were there, the protesters were there, and they were outside Cassandra's house, and she came out and spoke to them. I thought she spoke quite eloquently. I don't know what day that was. I don't know what day of the search it was. I thought she spoke quite eloquently, but she did. I remember doing a video about it. She did an interview to the press, and I thought she was really deceptive. So I don't know. I think she probably knows more than what she said, but she did say that her parents weren't telling her anything. Thank you, Puppy Love, for the $279 Canadian dollars for all the times we couldn't super chat me. Oh, thank you so much. You're so kind. I've no idea what Canadian dollars are in my currency, the British pound. I've no idea. YouTube will work all of that out behind the scenes. Okay, so September the 14th, with full knowledge that Gabby Petito had been murdered. So with full knowledge, this wording is really interesting. On September the 14th, with full knowledge that Gabby Petito had been murdered by their son, Christopher and Roberta Laundrie, through their lawyer, issued the following statement. It is our understanding that a search has been organised for Miss Petito in or near Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. On behalf of the Laundrie family, it is our hope that the search for Miss Petito is successful and that Miss Petito is united with her family. I thought that was, I remember all of these coming out, like, following this case, like, just, oh dear. I remember that and thought, that is odd. Given that, thank you, Cecile, for the $4.99 super sticker. Good job. Is that a fox? I think that's a fox. I like foxes, so I'm going to say that's a fox. Yeah. Having blocked Nicole, right, that is an asinine statement. That must have felt to Gabby's parents like a kick in the teeth, because that is so formal. Not, we'll do anything we can to help. So the way that this is worded, they have to address. They can't skirt around the houses. They have to. They have now, the ball's in their court. They have now the burden of proof to prove that they didn't know, because they've gone up to them and said, you had full knowledge of this. Prove me wrong. So, Katie, can you visit the UK? Yes, you can. The UK borders are open. You can. Yeah. It would be very nice for you to visit the UK. Thank you, Breeze, for the $9.99 for Miss Cassie and Miss Tillington. Thank you so much. I shall put that in the treats fund. I think I've got about 40 or 50 pounds in the treats fund, but they've still got loads of treats from the last batch of P.O. Box stuff. So we've got this. I know you can only see a little bit of me, but we've got this tub. We've got this tub still remaining. We've got 2 more boxes of WAG cookies remaining, and then we'll be buying more treats. So I shall add your contribution to the fund. Okay. September the 16th. attorney Richard Stafford, on behalf of Gabby Petito's family, issued a letter. So they pleaded with the Laundries. We are writing this letter to ask you to help find our beautiful daughter. We understand you're going through a difficult time. Your instinct is to protect your son. But we ask you to put yourself in our shoes. So the comment before saying, you know, walk a mile in the Laundries shoes. Well, let's walk a mile in the Petito and Smith family's shoes. Let's do that. And let's think that Brian has driven home in Gabby's van, refuses to talk, and they've been blocked. They can't talk to them. And the lawyer is doing all of their talking. Put yourself in their shoes. How horrific. Horrific. Thank you so much, Novella's True Crime, for the €4.99. Oh, yeah, you do euros in Ireland, don't you? And yeah, I remember going to Ireland. I went to Dublin when was it? It was the year before the pandemic. And it just felt bizarre having to change my currency to euros, you know, because Ireland is so close to us. And I was like, why do I have to? Anyway, thanks for all you do, Michelle, for True Crime, and always trying to get Michael Vaughn's name out there to people who don't know about him. There's been a little bit of controversy on Twitter about Michael Vaughn. So after I've read through this, I'm going to go on to just talk through a Twitter thread that I found, which is it's interesting. I don't know what to make of it, because Michael doesn't get a lot of coverage on YouTube, but it seems that there's a little community over on Twitter who are a little bit controversial. So I wanted to just put it out there, get your opinions. So once we've been through this documentation, that's what I'll be doing before I sign off. I'm going to leave you with it to think about, because I'm not sure what to make of it. Anyway, so they pled. Gabby lived with you for over a year. She's going to be your daughter-in-law. How can you keep her location hidden? You were both at Jim and Nicole's house. You were both happy that Brian and Gabby got engaged. Were planning to spend their lives together. Please, if you or your family have any decency left, please tell us where Gabby is located. Oh my God, that is heartbreaking. I remember that press conference. It's just heartbreaking. Despite the fact that Joseph Petito and Nicole Smith implored Christopher and Roberta Laundrie to tell them if their daughter was alive, and if she was not, where her remains could be located, Chris and Roberta refused to respond to either the family or to law enforcement. They just weren't communicating at all. Thank you so much, Janet, for the Canadian dollars $6.99. It's very kind of you. Very kind. Okay. So Chris and Roberta Laundrie instructed all contact were to be made through their attorney, Stephen Bertolino. He used to lighten my days a little when things in this kind of, you know, when Gabby's remains were found and the search was on for Brian. Stephen Bertolino used to make me smile sometimes just by his the way he was. I don't know if anybody was following him on Twitter when all this was going on. But the commentators, like the WFLA team and things, I think they quite enjoyed interacting with him as well. Anyway, while Joe Petito and Nicole Smith were desperately searching for information concerning their daughter, Chris and Roberta Laundrie were keeping their whereabouts of Brian Laundrie secret, and it's believed they were making arrangements for him to leave the country. Now, how much speculation was there on social media about the Laundries were planning to get him away somewhere? Maybe they were, but all the time, you know, the police, Northport police, thought they had eyes on him. Brian Laundrie was lying dead. Was lying shot dead. And I know this is probably going to like ignite some of the more conspiratorial theories. It's going to bring them all back, you know, saying, well, maybe Brian isn't dead. I think he is. I don't know about you, but I think he's dead. Anyway, Christopher Laundrie and Roberta Laundrie knew of the mental suffering and anguish of the Petito and Smith families and knew that they could alleviate, at least in part, some mental suffering by disclosing what they knew about the well-being and the location of the remains of Gabby Petito, yet they just didn't. They just didn't. You know, Chris Laundrie out there mowing his lawn, you know, protesters, law enforcement all around him, shouting to him. He's just like mowing his lawn, you know, like he didn't have a care in the world. Chris and Roberta Laundrie exhibited extreme and outrageous conduct, which constitutes behaviour under the circumstances which goes beyond all possible bounds of decency and is regarded as shocking, atrocious, and utterly intolerable in a civilised community. That is hard. Those are hard words, but they're emotional words. They're not legal words. Morally, it's horrific. Legally, though, where's that line? Where is that line? But it is on the Laundries now. They've been served with these papers. It's now up to the Laundries to prove that they didn't know anything. And if they can't prove it, I'll be interested to see whether a criminal case will be opened. I don't know if it will. I don't know. But as a direct and proximate result of the willfulness and maliciousness of maliciousness of Christopher and Roberta Laundrie, Joseph Petito and Nicole Smith have been caused to suffer pain and suffering, mental anguish, inconvenience, loss of capacity for enjoyment of life experienced in the past and to be experienced in the future. So there you go. So the ball is in the Laundries court. The ball is in their court. Oh, I think I've... oh, there we go. I'm back. I think I just dropped out for a second there. Oh, I'm dropping again. Am I, guys? Do I keep dropping? Do I keep lagging? I don't think my internet's very strong at the moment. Yeah, I know I keep freezing. I know I do. If you can hear me, yeah, I do. I could just keep freezing. My internet's rubbish. Yeah, lagging. Yeah. We'll just keep going. It'll probably rectify itself in a minute. You have my voice, just my face is lagging. Okay, I blink on and off. Yeah, my internet's a bit rubbish. I live out in the, rural areas, so I can't get this fast broadband. I can only get the normal broadband. So for live streaming, it's not very good. That's why I don't live stream a lot. Thank you so much. Please pass the pepper for the $4.99. Please get your beautiful pups and Kitty some treats from our Popeye and Brutus. Oh, I certainly will. I certainly will. All right, sound is fine. That's good. Can you hear me now? Yeah, that's what I'm always saying. Can you hear me now? It is beautiful where I live. It's really nice. Like the village, it's an old mining village. It's quite a big village now. It's really a small town. But the just outside my door here, you've got all of those fields and all the other side of the village, just miles and miles and miles of fields, and it's great. Yeah, I'm really, really lagging. I can show you my cats sometimes, but they are very old. One is almost 16. She's 16 next month, and she's very grumpy. The other one is 14 and is on a diet. She's got a little bit tubby in her older years, so she's on a diet. So she's also grumpy. But I will, yeah, if one of them pops in, I shall encourage her to come to see you, but I'm not promising anything. Does it snow by me? Sometimes. We don't get a lot of snow. We don't get a lot of snow at all. It's temperate. The climate is certainly on the west coast where I am. The climate's very wet. It rarely gets really, really, really cold because we have the benefit of the Gulf Stream coming up from the Gulf of Mexico, travels across the Atlantic Ocean, hits the west coast of Ireland and all up the west coast of England, Scotland, and it makes the climate warmer than the equivalent latitude in Canada is freezing. The equivalent latitude over in the east, like in Russia, freezing. But we, little island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, you know, the Britain and Ireland, we have a very temperate climate because we're warmed by the Gulf Stream. It's a degree or two colder over the east coast of Britain. It tends to snow a little bit more, and at the top of Scotland, like the northernly areas of Scotland, tends to snow a little bit more. But no, if we get like more than a day of snow, the entire country stops. The entire nation can't cope. We're not equipped to deal with snow at all. So, Brenda, it's an interesting question. Thought you said Cassie would go after cats. Do they get along? They do. They do get along. The cats are used to dogs. So when Cassie came along as a little puppy, they asserted their dominance straight away. And even the old grumpy one, Tasha, who's nearly 16, even she gets on with Cassie. And Cassie gets on with them. I don't think she sees them as the cats that she sniffs out when she's out walking. It's you know, I don't know. I can't ask her. I can't get inside her head. But I think Tasha and Baby are friends. And then every other cat in the world is fair game. It's interesting. Who's snoozing? Tilly is snoozing. Tilly's snoozing there. Jack and Bella, the oldies, are snoozing on the settee there. And then Cassie's upstairs, and I have no idea where the cats are. I have no idea where they are. They'll be inside somewhere. That's right, Karen. They're family members. Yeah, they're family members. Anyway, I am going to attempt. I don't know how well this is going to work because I want to show you Twitter. And I can't do that if my screen isn't working properly. But let's give it a go. Okay, get rid of a few windows now because we're now going to move over to Michael Vaughn. So for those of you not familiar with the Michael Vaughn case, Michael is a 5-year-old little boy who went missing from Fruitland, Idaho on the 27th of July, 2021. So he's been missing over 6 months. He went missing just over a month after Summer Wells went missing, and he hasn't had nearly the same attention. I mean, missing kids, to be honest, after the first week or so, they don't tend to get much attention. You know, it's difficult to keep an ongoing commentary going, either for the mainstream press or for YouTubers to consistently make videos when there's no news, when there's just nothing new. It's really difficult. So I think rather than looking at it as Michael Vaughn hasn't had the same attention as Summer Wells, what I want to reframe it and say Summer Wells has had far more attention than any other missing kid that I'm aware of. And that's because of the controversy that Don and Candice have brought to the table. You know, inadvertently, they've somehow managed to keep Summer's name out there, you know, with their own dramas and whatever. That's what's happened. But Michael, beautiful little boy, and he just vanished. He just vanished. He was seen. We have a trajectory of his travel. He was seen on various Ring doorbells on the street where he lives, and he was traveling east up this street, and he knocked on 3 different neighbors' houses who told him to go home. So I think one neighbor even walked him back towards his home, and then he was just gone. Can I go over which way Michael went in the neighborhood, which houses saw him? I don't know specifically which houses saw him. I don't know whether that was released, but he was traveling east. He was traveling towards, it's a small, very small community, and Michael's neighborhood was just a handful of streets. And his street was very close to some open fields, miles and miles and miles of open fields. About a mile, less than a mile to the west is the Snake River, and that's the state line. Eastern side of the Snake River is Idaho. West of the Snake River is Oregon. And you could get to Oregon very, very quickly. Within a handful of minutes, you could get over the state line. I did a members only live on Michelle After Dark a couple of weeks ago, and we went through in detail all of these different issues and different red flags that I felt were there. When Chris McDonough interviewed, thank you, Sarah Me, for the £8.99. So that's my currency. My fellow Northwesterner. The respect you have gained as a creator is amazing. Thank you so much, Sarah Me. That's very kind. Very kind. Yeah, when Chris McDonough interviewed Brandy Neal, who's Michael's mother, he asked a careful question about the river, because the Snake River is very dangerous river. And as to whether Michael would have gone that way, would have gone west, gone into the fields and fallen in the river. And she said no, that it had been checked. And also, before you get to the river, it was like a big cliff. It's a huge cliff that Michael would have to navigate down, which is, I think I reckoned it up to be about 80 feet, this cliff. So Idaho in that area is all really flat, like Fruitland and all the kind of towns east of Fruitland into Idaho. It's really flat, but there's various like cliffs and things that are in the landscape, like from like prehistoric, like things that happened in the landscape. So there's like cliffs, followed by then the Snake River to the west, and then Oregon west of the Snake River is another big flat plateau, but there's this cliff. So unless you really look at the topography of the landscape, you don't realize, you just think, oh, that's really flat. You don't realize there's all of these kind of hazards and things like that. But Brandy said no, he was seen by law enforcement on these various cameras traveling east. And he did get out before. He was a kid that would elope. He is a kid that did get out from time to time. His grandpa found him once at the splash pad. Now, the splash pad is a very short walk, just on the kind of next street north. And I suspect what he was trying to do was get someone to come out and play with him and perhaps go to the splash pad. I think he was probably bored. That was my assessment of it. However, there are some people who think that Dad, Tyler, who hasn't spoken, Brandy has come out and done quite a lot of interviews now. Like, she's been on Chris McDonough's show. She's been on a few YouTube kind of shows. And, you know, she's just trying to keep Michael's name out there. She's doing everything she can to keep Michael's name out there. But Brandy was at work. It is verified that Brandy was at work when Michael went missing. Yes, Patricia, this is what I'm getting to. Have Michael's parents been criticised for leaving him unattended? Yeah, Brandy was at work. Tyler, Dad, was looking after the children. Now, I think there's 2 older children who are closer to teenage years, then Michael, and then a smaller child. I'm not sure how old that smallest child is, but allegedly Tyler was attending to the smaller child. I think probably by the time of day, so it was something like, I don't know, like it was after 7 o'clock. I can't remember the specific times. It was kind of between like 7 and 8 p.m. I'm wondering whether he was getting the little one ready for bed. Maybe Michael was bored and he was able to get out of the side garage door. He couldn't get out of the front door because I had a screen door that he had to get through. The front door was left locked, but he could get out of the side garage door. So when Tyler said he was maybe unattended in the house for about 10, 15, 20 minutes. But by the time Tyler came back to see Michael, he was gone. He was gone. I'm just going to go out and come back in, see. Has that helped at all? No, it hasn't. It hasn't. Oh, well. I think it's just my internet. I hope you can still hear me all okay. It's fine. It's fine if you can, because I'm going to play a little bit of audio. Because the screen is just like jumping so much, I'm probably not going to be able to get through the thread, but I can describe what people are saying to you. But I've got a couple of minutes of audio that I found on Twitter, because even though Michael has not had, yes, he was, Linda, 5 years old, yeah. I'm not sure whether this has got to YouTube, because, to be honest, I don't see very many people talking about Michael. Like I said, I don't think it's because people don't want to talk about Michael. It's just because after the first couple of weeks of a child going missing, you know, law enforcement are doing their thing, release very little by way of updates because it's an active investigation. So I haven't heard this. This surprised me. Let's just put it that way. This surprised me. The Woodworth Harsh Reality has just posted a video about Brandy and a slipping halo. It's a phone call with Brandy. That's possibly what I'm just about to play you. Because I found this almost by accident when I was scrolling through Twitter looking for information about the Laundries. I found this. So I'll play it you without further ado. It's a couple of minutes. And it's a phone call between Brandy and someone else. I don't know who the someone else is, to be honest, but it's there on Twitter in the public domain, so I'm just going to play it. Okay.
If it's a trick and they arrest Tyler, I'm going to be fucking pissed.
There's no way in fucking hell. I'll burn the place down. Are you fucking kidding me? There's no way in hell. There is no way in hell Tyler had anything to do with this whatsoever.
I don't think Tyler did either. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to be fucking pissed.
No. No. And I told Tyler, like, I told him what I told Sai, that he's the sissy Lala, and I'm the badass. And he laughed. And he's like, I do feel guilty. It's my fault. It's not his fault.
Right.
It is not his fault. He did not do this.
Is he gonna actions maybe of things that they're finding out right now, and they just need to have it on record?
No, it's just gonna be him and Sai talking. No polygraph, no nothing. Just him and I, or him and Sai in the office, like I do all the fucking time. That's it.
Oh, so not recorded and stuff like that.
No, it's just them two having a conversation.
Okay.
That's it. He promised me.
You'll go to federal. That's federal prison. You can't go burning down police officers' fucking homes.
I'll just go talk to his wife. She's been a corrections officer for over 25 years. I'll just go talk to her.
So you're
I
gonna
met her.
tattle on side to his wife if he arrests Tyler.
You bet your ass I will.
Hold on, honey, I'm coming. Let me go tell Sai's wife.
Oh, you're gonna be in trouble.
I'm sorry, that's funny.
Well, I'll go to JD's wife too.
What does JD have to do with him getting arrested?
Just in case.
Oh my
I got a
God.
backup plan.
Well, I've got questions, as I guess some of you have got as well. Sherry, where did this call come from? I don't know. This is on somebody's Twitter profile called Nicole Marie, who is Sleuthy Goosey. That's her profile name. And it was posted 7 hours ago. And she's asking for thoughts. But there is a community on Twitter who are really sleuthing into the fact they believe that Tyler has got more to do with this than Brandy knows. Either Brandy's not saying or Brandy doesn't know. Yes, Tyler's the dad, Linda. Yeah. I'll play it again in a second, so that you can digest it. But I just want to maybe show you some of the comments. Oops, why is it not? Nope. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see these if I'm still jumping. Am I still jumping? Yeah, I'm still jumping. I'm still blinking on and off. So, but it seems to have been there's a live streaming system on Twitter. You can live stream on Twitter now, and I think people are going live there talking about this issue that blaming the parents that we've not seen. I've certainly not seen on YouTube. But I think a lot of what is being said is really nitpicking towards Brandy. So here we've got B, Brandy, does have a few interesting email addies. Anyone check those out? So the sleuthing into the parents. Which one is Brandy? Brandy's the one who is threatening to blow up or burn down houses. I'll go through it again. I'll go through it and stop it and so we can talk about it, because it is really interesting. So somebody else says, let me see if I understand. There are 2 male officers that she, Brandy, will go to their house, go to their wives if they try to arrest Tyler. What does she have on 2 male officers to tell their wives? I'm trying to read but between the lines, but drugs or sex. I think some of these people are, in my opinion, jumping to conclusions. So then Nicole Marie puts a quote in. I told Tyler, I told him what I told Cy. He's a sissy la and I'm the badass. Now, Captain Cy Armstrong, he's the captain of Fruitland Correctional Things. He was, I checked out his LinkedIn profile, and he's the captain of Fruitland now, but he was corrections officer. I think he's been a police officer. So he's a high up law enforcement person that I think Brandy's got to know and that Brandy's trusting. Okay. So, but I think Captain Cy Armstrong might be doing the thing that all law enforcement do, is that they're allowed to lie. They're allowed to befriend you with the hope of you slipping. So I'll play this call again and I'll stop it just so that I can be clear what I think's going on in this call. It's difficult because I don't know who the other person is. I don't know whether this has been taken completely out of context, as these things regularly are, that she could have just been venting. She could have just been joking. And just because those couple of minutes have been clipped and taken out of context, it looks worse than it actually is. I mean, who hasn't, right? You know, said things when you kind of just venting, who said things that you absolutely don't mean. Who hasn't done that, right? But I think, if I'm going to read between the lines, I think law enforcement have not ruled out the possibility that Tyler has something to do with it, because they can rule out Brandy because she was at work. But we've only got Tyler's word for it that he was where he said he was. Now, we have, though, however, we have got surveillance footage that Michael was in the street and went and knocked on neighbours' doors. But then it begs the question, why did he feel he needed to go and knock on the neighbours' doors? What was happening? And I don't know. I believe Michael was abducted, and that's just the way that I think about this entire case, because I haven't seen anything to the contrary. All of the information I've seen leads me to believe Michael was abducted. However, like with any case, we've got no idea what law enforcement knows. We've got no idea what has been said behind closed doors between the family and law enforcement. And you're absolutely right, Jenny D. It was a private call. So if Brandy was just venting, it's private call. Anyway, let's listen to it again, and I'll just stop it a couple of times and just kind of talk it through.
If it's a trick and they arrest Tyler, I'm going to be fucking pissed.
So that's Brandy. That's Brandy's voice. So she says, if they arrest Tyler, she's going to be fucking pissed, because she must have had some kind of assurance from Cy that they're not going to arrest Tyler. Of course, they're not going to tell her if they're going to arrest Tyler. But I think this is just venting, but that's just my opinion. And I think a lot of you guys are also saying it's venting.
There's no way in fucking hell. I'll burn the place down. Are you fucking kidding me? There's no way in hell.
So she'll burn the place down if Tyler gets arrested. Of course she's not going to burn the place down. Of course she's not. Venting. Yes, he did only grants. He did have a history of wandering. He did. He'd got out before. He got out of the house before. And he's on one occasion, his grandfather, Michael's grandfather, had found him at the splash pad, and he was going in that direction of the splash pad. So it lends me to believe that a kid who is prone to eloping, who's been left on his own, who's bored, is going to go out and he's going to try and find friends. You know, he seems kind of a little bit an intelligent kid, can work things out. He's a bit hyperactive, perhaps, and he was bored. And unfortunately, he met the wrong person while he was out there. Yes, Shauna, Tyler is Michael's father, so Brandy's partner. I don't think they're married.
There is no way in hell Tyler had anything to do with this whatsoever.
I don't think Tyler did either. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to be fucking pissed.
No. And I told Tyler, like, I told him what I told Sai, that he's a sissy lala, and I'm the badass. And he laughed.
So she's the badass in the relationship. I'd say something like that. I'd say, leave it to me, I'm the badass, right? So I don't think that's a halo slipping. I think that's her being a human being who's venting, not knowing this is being recorded, perhaps. And maybe it's been taken completely out of context. I want to hear the entire call to make that decision.
And he's like, I do feel guilty. It's my fault. It's not his fault.
Right.
It is.
So Tyler feels guilty and says it's his fault. People will take that massively out of context. He's not saying it's his fault because he did anything to Michael. He's saying it's his fault because he was the parent in charge when Michael eloped. That's just my opinion, obviously.
Not his fault. He did not do this. Is he gonna? Maybe of things that they're finding out right now, and they just need to have it on record. No, it's just gonna be him and Sai talking. No polygraph, no nothing. Just him and Sai in the office, like I do all the fucking time.
So she goes to speak to Captain Sai Armstrong all the time because perhaps Sai has befriended her. Law enforcement are never your friend. Come on, guys. They're never your friend. When there's an active investigation going on, they're never your friend. They're looking for information. But it looks like Sai had invited Tyler in for a chat, just for a chat, you know. Just the fact that his Miranda rights were read, he's not in custody. He's just gone in for a chat. I don't know whether Brandy is a bit naive, but I would imagine that any conversation that Tyler has with law enforcement, or even Brandy has with law enforcement, is recorded. I would be surprised if they were just having little cozy chats that weren't on record when there's an active investigation. I might be completely wrong. That might be how they work in Fruitland. But I don't know. But if Tyler was invited in for a chat, then it leads me to believe whether or not he's got anything to do with it, law enforcement are still dealing with a possibility that they have to go over things again and again and again. They do. So I don't think it means that Tyler's going to be arrested. Depends what they know. But I think they're just dotting the I's, crossing the T's. They've had so little, certainly that's been released to the public. There's nothing that's been released to the public. But we can only imagine that there's the active investigations ongoing. Kamala, you'll have to rewind. We've done the Gabby and Brian segment. I went through the court papers of the civil the civil suit that the Petito and Smith families are bringing towards the Laundries. I went through the court papers. So just rewind back and then you can listen to that segment. Okay, let's carry on with this.
That's it. Oh, so not recorded and stuff like that. No, it's just them two having a conversation. Okay, that's it. He promised me.
I would imagine that a promise by any person in law enforcement is a promise that could be very easily broken. Tina says, Michelle, please be careful about what you say about the police officers. I just turned this call over to the police and they may be listening. I'm not saying anything bad about law enforcement. I'm saying that if they're doing their job in an active investigation, then things are going to be recorded. And promises to Brandy aren't worth anything because this is an active investigation. They're wanting to find out what happened to Michael Vaughn. So surely law enforcement are going to do things absolutely by the book. They're not going to take shortcuts. They're not going to have comfy, cozy chats with people who presumably are still persons of interest. Of course they are, Dawn. Law enforcement is allowed to lie. So law enforcement, by promising Brandy that they're not going to record Tyler, they're just having a conversation, well, unless law enforcement does things very, very differently than what I'm familiar with, then that is not going to be true. So, yeah, there's that. Blue Topaz. And my background isn't law enforcement. It isn't. I've done work with the police, but not as a law enforcement person. Never worked in law enforcement ever. Don't know where that information's come from. There's so many things that people say, and I was listening. Oh, thank you, Novellis, for the €4.99. Brandy comes up and gives context to that call. Awful how they talk to her on that Twitter space. Be great if you could find. I will find it. I don't use Twitter very often. I only use it to look up kind of the latest news on various things. I don't know what Twitter space is, but I can find it. Yeah, I would imagine that she's not very happy, and I wouldn't be very happy at all that presumably a private call has been recorded. And yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sidebar. I was in I was watching a. Oh wow! Thank you. Just another mother. $49.99. That is so generous. Thank you so much. $49.99. Love my channel. Thank you. You are so kind. Kate, you. Who is Tyler? Tyler is Michael's father, and Brandy is Michael's mother. So they live together. They are partners. I don't believe they're married, but yeah, Tyler's dad, Brandy's mum. Only Grands, you're banned from Twitter. Oh dear, what did you do? Just make another account, you know. Okay, so yeah, I'll try my best to find what the context to all of this is. You know, I'd only found this probably about half an hour before I went live. you know, I decided to go live about Brian, and then I thought, you know what, I just want to discuss this. I just want to see what YouTube thinks of it. Harsh reality obviously beat me to it. I'd already seen this, but yeah, I thought it was interesting, and I feel sorry for Brandy. I suppose she's going to be a lot more careful in future who she talks to. Anyway, oops, there's a question there. Is Tyler bio dad? I believe he's the bio dad. I believe he is. Sarah Me says, harsh reality is sometimes too harsh. Well, his name is Harsh, so maybe that's his MO, you know, that's just the way some people are. I like to be a little bit more introspective, not introspective, what's the word? Kind of give the bigger picture. I want to see the bigger picture. I want to see every side. I want to look at things from every angle as much as I can. That's kind of my thing. Everybody does their channels differently, though. Right, let's get on with this. We're nearly at the end.
You go to federal. That's federal prison. You can't go burning down police officers' fucking homes.
I'll just go talk to his wife. She's been a corrections officer for over 25 years. I'll just go talk to her.
So you're gonna paddle on side to his wife if he arrests Tyler.
You bet your ass I will.
Hold on, honey, I'm coming. Let me go tell Sai's wife.
Oh, you're gonna be in trouble.
I'm sorry, that's funny.
Well, I'll go to JD's wife too.
What does JD have to do with him getting arrested?
Just in case.
Oh
I got a backup plan.
She was obviously joking. She was, you know, it was tongue in cheek, and I feel sorry for her that she's having to come out and defend this. That's not nice. It's not nice. Sherry, that's the word. Thank you. Circumspect. That's the one, not introspect. Circumspect. Could we hit 500 thumbs ups? I don't know. Could we? I don't know what thumbs ups we're on. I can't see it on. I'm still jumpy, aren't I? Still jumpy. Yeah, still jumpy. My internet's terrible. Don't think he's done it though. Like hurt his son with 3 other children in the house. There you go. That's the thing. Welsh Crime Time. That's the thing, that there were 3 other children in the house. So he's not going to, you know, how would it work? You know, that Michael was seen on surveillance footage. 3 different neighbours actually spoke to him. So what? Michael goes home, Tyler murders him, quickly goes and hides the body. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I can't see it myself. I can't see it. When was the recording made? Well, this clip hit Twitter today, 7 hours ago. But I think if you read the thread, I think this call was actually made like towards the end of February. I don't know. I don't know specifics. Like, I don't know where this call came from. I don't know who the person is that she was speaking to. I've only heard this clip. So it's out of context. I feel sorry for Brandy that she's having to defend this. Personally speaking, I don't think she's done anything wrong at all. Yay, over 500. Yay, 511 likes. I can't see the likes on StreamYard. So as of now, 522. Yay. That's very good. Jenny, no one's heard from Tyler. Tyler hasn't spoken out, but he says he feels guilty. Via Brandy, Brandy says Tyler feels guilty. Tyler's blaming himself. So if he does come and speak out, I would say don't. Because if he feels guilty, that's going to come across as being guilty. You know what the court of public opinion is like on social media? They'll look at any little flinch, you know, your eyebrow raised a little bit too much, or you look to the right, or this, that, the other. Everything is going to get scrutinized. So I don't blame Tyler for not speaking out, because he feels guilty. He feels guilty. But I admire Brandy for doing all of this, keeping Michael's name out there. But the more public the parents are, the more scrutiny they get. You know, the police are the first people that, you know, the first people that will look at the parents. And then once the public gets involved, loads of people will just automatically blame the parents. Automatically. 557 likes now. Hey, that's good. That's cool. He did, Regina Carter. Tyler looked pretty distraught in the first presser. Family were horribly distraught. He was. What's the timeline between last seeing Michael and Tyler reported him missing? I think it was pretty much straight away. There wasn't I can't remember the timings now, because I wasn't planning to do a live at all today. And then the Brian Laundrie thing came up. So I thought, I'll go live to discuss this. Then I saw this about Michael. So I've not had time to kind of brush up on the facts. But if anybody's in the chat who can remember the actual times, it was pretty quick. The police were there very quick. The 911 call was made quickly. And I can't see that there's time in the timeline for Tyler to have murdered Michael. Bear in mind, he was seen by 3 neighbours. For Michael to go home, Tyler murder him and hide his body without 3 children knowing and a neighbourhood knowing. You know, it's not like, although it's rural, as in there's lots and lots of fields and a river and things, but the actual street, you know, it's a neighbourhood with, you know, it's a street. It's not like the Wells property where you've got 11 acres to go and possibly stash your body. Not that I believe the Wells did that, but, you know, I'm just saying as a comparison. But I can't see how it could have happened, given the timeline that certainly we're aware of. Yeah, Janet, not seen going back. I think a neighbour walked him towards his house. You know, kind of told him to go home and walked him towards his house. But I don't know. It's just really, really sad. But I can see some red flags there with the terrain. I'm always concerned when a child goes missing very, very close to a state line, because once a child is taken over the state line, and it's literally minutes to get over to Oregon, or there's an interstate that runs straight through Fruitland, get on the interstate and you are away, right? You know, north or south, you're away. So he could have been taken west into Oregon within split second. It could be on the interstate north or south and gone from the area before anybody realizes he's even missing. It concerns me when children go missing very close to state lines and where there's an interstate very close as well. So I I just find it really sad. It's really sad. Thank you so much, RH, for the $49.99. We love you, Michelle. Thank you for sharing another live with us. You are very, very welcome. It's very unplanned, impromptu, but thank you so much. That is very kind. And I think it's, given the circumstances, given the timeline, given the tight time frame, I really don't think Tyler did it. I don't think he did. I think he was, I truly believe he was abducted. It would take a lot of information to the contrary to get me to change my mind on that. Yeah, Lee. Yeah, fast running river system as well. Yeah, the Snake River. Yeah. I mean, I don't think Michael could have got down there on his own. But could his body have been deposited there? Yes. I don't know. It's really sad. Really sad. Anyway, I'm going to call it a day here. It's gone 11 p.m. where I am here in the UK. So I'm glad I had a nap. I went for a walk this morning. As you know, if you see my videos over on Michelle After Dark, went for a walk this morning, made 2 videos, came home, edited my videos, got them uploaded, and then fell asleep. I didn't mean to, but then it was like 3 p.m. and the whole day is gone. So I don't even know how long I was asleep. So I'm glad I had a nap, because it meant I'm a bit more awake to do this. But yeah, I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to try and do more lives. I really enjoy them. My internet winds me up for being rubbish. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for the moderators. I actually do have moderators on this channel. I don't have any moderators on Michelle After Dark, but thank you for being so kind with the super chats and super stickers. I worked too hard, Helen. I'm going to moderate you. Helen, you've got a moderator badge now. You've got a wrench. So, oh, my son's just come in, so my internet's going to get even worse. So I'm going to go. There's my son in the background. My internet's rubbish anyway, so keeps freezing. I don't know whether anybody saw him with his thumbs up there. Okay. All right. See you all soon. Bye, guys.